Good evening. It's Monday night all over again, and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation with Mr. Reginald Bryan. Thank you for being here this evening. Zoom
Thank
In on a Fresh Conversation is sponsored by Eyeless Diamonds LLC, brought to you by Milton McCulloch, author of Love and Emancipation and host of Night Talk, L.D. Robinson from Ladero Press, Mr. David Thompson of Miami, Florida, Scylla's Book Maniacs, where book lovers unite, and the Fresh Book Festival, which will be 2022, January 13, 14, and 15. So thank you for being here. Are you ready? Let's go. You ready?
I'm ready.
So I have known Reggie forever, everybody, about almost 20 years. And I never asked you what it was like to grow up in Florida, and particularly how it is to grow up in DeLand. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Where would I begin? Well, I will tell you, I actually wasn't. I was born in Florida. I'm a true Floridian, of course.
Florida grown.
I grew up in DeLand, but I was born in a little town called Wauchula, Florida.
Wachula. Oh my goodness.
Wauchula. That's where my parents met. Actually, my dad is. He was born in Portland, Jamaica.
Mm.
My mom was born in Wauchula, Florida, and that's where they met.
And
Uh,
where is Wachula, Florida?
well, it's like Southwest Tampa, south of Tampa.
Mm. Come ask you to move closer to your computer so I can hear you.
Southwest of Tampa, like
That's
going
good.
down Tampa, west on the
Hmm.
west side of I-4.
Okay.
Um, Small town. Of course, we moved to a bigger small town in DeLand when I was 1 years old. So my sister and brother, who are my brother who's 7 years old older than I, my sister is 6 years older than mine. They're 1 year apart, and I'm of course the youngest one from them. But they grew up there. They had some years there, but I just would go back during the summer or the weekends. My mother would take me. So therefore, I actually grew up in DeLand, which is a small town. At that time, you got to figure it's probably about in the 70s, 20,000 people, I would suspect.
Right.
And which it was a fun town. It was fun growing up there. Everybody knew everybody, of course. Um,
So how did you get there? Did you, because you're related to a lot of people. So are you related to a lot of people when you moved
my
there?
aunt moved here first,
Okay.
and when my aunt moved here, my mother followed her here,
Okay.
and from there, some of the other relatives came after her. So a lot of us just grew up here. Once she migrated here, we just followed her and came to land, became our home.
And so when I came to DeLand, I really was unfamiliar with the area, and I was surprised at how many people were related.
Right.
Yeah, that small town feel. So can we take a minute and discuss when I met you? You were in your early 30s,
Correct.
and you decided to join the army at an older age. Tell me what made you decide to do that.
Huh. Well, I was just finishing up a job that didn't go so well at the time. I was supposed to go to the military. I was supposed to go buddy buddy with a friend of mine when I graduated high school. My mother wasn't happy about that. She wanted me to go to school. So at the end of the term between her mother and my mother and my brother talking me out of it, I decided to sit out, which I sat out a year of high school. And a friend of mine, after working 8 hours a day, 12 hours, we just decided to go to college. So we just skipped work one day and went over to cooking. And we just went over there. And like we gonna, and that day we signed in, got enrolled, found a dorm, and I came home. Mama said, "Hey, I'm in college," so I was at Cookman. Which and that's pretty much how it panned out, which was her alma mater. So I ended up following her stuff, going to Cook, and that's how I ended up at Cookman, going to college, leaving school, and from there, once I graduated, I stayed in the land for a while. Worked at Tyco Healthcare at that particular time. It was a good experience for me. It was a great job. Somehow, well, you
Anybody
bump
who doesn't know the area, it's called the Needle Company.
the needle company, the needle factory. Yes.
The Needle Factory.
So I worked my way up to supervisor there, and then Bumphead was management, and I decided to get out. And when I got out, I decided to cash in on my military apparatus at that time. I was like, well, hey, since I'm out, 37 years old, um, let me just take the benefits of the military. So a
Now,
lot of
I
my
remember the day you decided to do it. It was
right,
not an easy decision.
no, it wasn't because I would be leaving my family, and I was 37 years old. Um, I was just divorced, so it wasn't that easy. But I had a daughter here in town, and man, my oldest son, my oldest son was out in college, so it was a tough decision to leave my family. But in the line of things, looking at the benefits and looking at how things were, changed my course of life, it was just a sacrifice to make, and I took that sacrifice and just going in at 37, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
How are you? So, you went in at 37 and the people who are your superiors are 22. How did
How did that work?
how did that work?
Didn't always work well, but being that I'm a Christian background taught me to be humble, and being that I was old, I could see and understand what it was and what it was about going in at 37. So you knew all the politics, you knew all the different things that go along with it. So you just learned to just stay out of the way at
Did,
37.
did you get any traveling in while you were there?
I got plenty traveling. That's what I went for. It was a refresher from getting out of divorce. So I just look at that as a vacation experience. So
A
going
three
through,
year, were you there
going
3 years? You were there 3 years, right?
3.5 years, I was that was kind of like my mantra. That was my plan to go in for 3 years because I just really wanted to. It was a business opportunity for me at the time.
Hmm.
Go in, and I think a lot of African American young men should take advantage of that, which we don't, because I think
Hmm.
our parents, our black mothers specifically, are so shine on the military. They so against it, and in reality, it's the best benefit for our children. And I know they think we're gonna lose our life, but I lost my son. He was not in the military. He was
Hmm.
murdered out in the street.
Right. So it didn't matter, right?
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are if it's your time to go. But I think it's so beneficial for us African Americans. If you're not going to college or or Job Corps or something like that, I think it's ideal for African American children to go into the military. I
Because
really
you didn't really go on the front line, right? You.
no, the
Oh.
military got this aspect. I think our black parents are so uneducated about it. It's a job like anything else. Just like we have police out here in the civilian world. If you're a fighter, that's the job you choose to be.
Hmm.
But I was a supply person, which is like being in a unit, or your unit is considered like being in your store. So in being in the store, I was like the manager of the store. So
It was
whatever my unit
procurement,
needs,
right? They call it
right,
procurement.
procurement or supply.
Okay.
Right. So those are the jobs you get. You could be a dentist, you could be in the band, you could be in so many different things that you can do. But you get the same benefit as if you were a person that was in infantry fighting or something like that. It's all the particulars on how you study for the ASVAB, how well you do on it, what jobs you're available to get. But the benefits are astronomical, man. I mean, you get free education. What job gives you education after you quit? What
Right.
job? What job pays you to go to school, pay for the school after you quit the job? No, nobody
Right.
does that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and while you're in that job, you get to go to school for free of charge. Nobody does that. We don't take advantage of that, and so many of our kids are missing on so much of that opportunity to advance themselves. Even if you don't do for 3.5 years like I did, there are things that are benefits that'll give me that I don't have the stresses of having to go to work if I don't want to because
Mm.
of my military. But I did go to war. I did make some sacrifices. I did put myself in areas that most people are afraid of. But war is not even the same anymore. We watch so many military wars. We sit back. They go. We just in the back, doing our jobs. We're not in the front line. We do got so many drones, so many different things that war is really not the same anymore, like Vietnam or something like that.
Hmm.
So, but it's hard to get our community to take advantage of it because the whites are still out because you don't lose going to the military. It's not designed for you to lose. If you lose going to the military, it's because you're hooked on drugs or you're hooked on something that's taking away your benefit.
Hmm.
It's not designed for you to lose. So we miss out on so much. But the Hispanic family, that's the Hispanic culture, is taking advantage of it. and they're superseding us by so many aspects just because of going into the military. And but we got this culture about, we don't want the government telling us what to do. If you get a job, you got to listen to somebody. So I don't understand it, but the benefits are just so it helped me so much at 37. What I gained at 37, I couldn't have gained in all the years prior to that point, before or after that. Those 3 years imparted my life, and it just made me a better person, put me in a better place, put me in a stress-free place in terms of bills being paid, things like that. It was just a small sacrifice that I made, and I'm so glad I made it.
Well, let's just say that you had a whole community praying for you to be okay and to come back.
I
So
did. I
you
did. I had a whole community, a whole church family, and growing up in a church family and knowing God for yourself, it was a vacation for me because I knew I was covered in the blood.
right.
But
A hedge of protection. Yeah.
had your protection. But
Yeah.
you have to know. But you have to know that. Some people don't really know that about themselves or how good God really is, and they miss out on opportunity doing things. It took me 50 years to learn to get out of my own way. So
Hmm.
and let God lead the way. But it took 50 years for me to learn that. So that's not an easy facet.
So I told my nephew who just got signed to Duke University with a
Right.
4-year ride, I said, you won't ever have to worry about finding a job. Did you find that um, true when people found out you were in the military and in the army? Did you get like automatic pass on things?
You do. You get preferential treatment on things.
Mhm.
You get looked at differently because you made that sacrifice. And particularly, Bill and I was privileged enough to have the greatest of both worlds, going to HBCU and going into a military. I mean, you can't compare those. I mean, it's just an awesome experience to be able to do both, you know, and to gain things at HBCU you'll never gain. And people say about HBCU, you have the same books that you have in Florida or Florida State. You know, we may not have the same opportunities because some of those people have different financial opportunities than we do. So, but we do have to work a little harder, but that don't mean we're less smarter than them because we have the same books. We have all business classes was dress up on Wednesday. You have those experiences that you suit and tie on Wednesday, and standing up and being able to speak. I mean, it's just a culture that you can't duplicate unless you go to HBCU. It's really awesome. It's an awesome experience.
Now we have Davita Bonner on the line. She is a counselor at Bethune-Cookman University. Hey, Davita.
Hey, Wildcat.
so, so tell us how it is. I mean, I don't know that a lot of people understand. I didn't graduate from an HBCU, but I tell you, every time I go on that campus, it just gives you a different kind of atmosphere. Tell us just a little bit about how it is to be a part of an HBCU family.
It's oh man, it's kind of hard to explain
It's
because
awesome, isn't it?
it's just an awesome experience. It's almost like when you finally learn how to appreciate Christ. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
such an experience, such a chill that you get, such a brotherhood and sisterhood that you gather there in HBCU. I mean, we're not all perfect. Of course, we go there, we party, we make some mistakes and things like that. Trust me, I
Tony
graduated
said,
there.
"Yeah, I understand."
I graduated there. Thank you, Lordy. That's about it. I was thank you, Lordy. I was graduated. I'm cool, Lordy. Thank you, Lord.
Oh Lordy.
Oh, Lord. Exactly. So it's an awesome experience that I love. I wish if you're not gonna go on military and HBCU, it's just a camaraderie ship that you can never forget. There's experience you'll never forget. Some things you never want to tell. Some
Mm.
things you can't help but to tell. So so it's just an awesome experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. That's why I wouldn't trade any of my experiences, even though everything and always went well. I could say having been at HBCU was very beneficial to me.
So you grew up in St. Anna's Primitive Baptist Church in DeLand.
I did.
And do you believe that that particular foundation is what kept you from the streets?
I do. I do now at 50. You know what I'm saying? At the time you grew up, and you don't go to church because you want to. You go because your mama tell you to go. Your mom tell you to go, your dad tell you to go. But it was, the things that it taught me to be fruitful, to be, I wasn't always patient, but to know that God is working, and you get that foundation, and just going to church, being a part of a church, and been going to HBCU. That's religious background just helps seek those things into you. So being at St. Andrews, a small church, we were a small church, but we were a God-fearing church, and we were a tithing church. So there are things that we grew bigger than some churches that were bigger than us because our roots were grounded in the Lord, His beliefs, and of course that there we still wash each other's feet on the second Sunday. Even though the pandemic has slowed that down a little bit, and but we do wash feet and things of that nature.
Is that
Humble
part of
ourselves.
the what they call primitive
That's
Baptist?
part of that's big. One of the big part of being a primitive Baptist is
Hmm.
washing feet.
Hmm.
I think we can change that a little bit, but customs are hard to change. So, but
Is that like a first Sunday? And you do it on the second Sunday?
we're second Sunday.
Okay.
Communion is second Sunday for us.
And that's the washing of the feet. You don't get the wine and
We
the.
do the wine and the bread. That's what God, at the time they were doing the wash each other, you break bread, drink the wine, and God wash each other's feet at that particular time. So we follow that thing that's embodied in the Bible more. A lot of churches don't do it, which I don't blame them because people have changed, the culture has changed, so people are not really into watching your feet and stuff like that, but it's hard to get I'm a realist, but it's hard to change the traditional people who've grown there for so many years, the leadership. So, but I look forward to the church. I love the church, and I encourage people to do it. But
Well,
you
you
know,
know that a lot of practitioners believe that healing is in the feet. And,
healing is in the feet.
yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I'm just saying that they believe that, if you can release the toxins through your feet, that's pretty much your whole body.
Okay.
So there's something to be said for that.
Well, the thing about us is just that God, washed one of the disciples' feet. That was the first thing that He did, and one of the disciples refused it, and God said, "Well, you can't be a part of me if you
Mm,
don't allow me to wash your feet. So if I can wash your feet, then certainly anybody out there can wash your feet. When I'm the King of Kings
mm.
and the Prince of Prince, if I'm humble enough to wash your feet, certainly you ought to be humble enough to wash each other's feet. So it's just a matter of showing humility. That's what the basis of primitive Baptist is about. Showing humility, no matter how big you are or how status quo you are, you can get down and wash someone's feet and share with them in the same manner as if everybody's on the same playing field.
I had the honor of going to church services there several times and was given an award there, a Cheryl Poole.
Cheryl Poole, yeah.
Yeah, she was a Gwen. Who was Cheryl Poole? She was a leader there in DeLand, right?
Cheryl Poole was a teacher, I believe. She was
She was a teacher.
I believe, yes.
Yeah, I received her award one year there in the church and was very well received. So, and I have friends who still go there. So it's really, really nice. So let's move on to when I told my colleagues that I was coming to work in DeLand and they said, "Oh, you going to the Wild Wild West?" I said, "What? Is that what they call it?" So tell me why it had that name. And I mean, I didn't
Well, and we
realize
on
until
the
I
west.
got there that it might have been some connotations. But when I did tell my colleagues, they were like, "Oh my God, you're going to DeLand?" And I thought, "Oh, well, what's going on?" I think I'll be all right.
Everything's gonna be all right. Of course, we get a bad rap. It's the Wild Wild West because we're on the west side of the land.
Okay.
The Wild Wild West does have a theme to it, but like any other
Well,
area of economic, substantial, that need growth, and just like any other part of any other low income town, you have your crime and violence, but you also have your good things, all in part in what you want to partake in. So certainly there are instances where you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time, like my child. But I grew up there. I love it there. I love the people there. Everything isn't always rosy, but they're good people. You know,
No, but listen, I was told that at one point it had a lot of businesses on this on Adele and a lot of clubs and it was a black hub for people for other community. Is that correct?
it was a black hub. But one thing that we have here in the land is probably one of the most. Oh, I'm just gonna be blunt. Say one of the most racist areas in Volusia County. The
Mm.
land, and they just took a lot of things from us. Um, they bought out a lot of things. They rezoned the things once things got closed, which made it difficult to reopen back up. We would have to go through them, and of course they wouldn't approve, the contract work or whatever you're trying to do, so they can take. So they took a lot of the stuff from us in the land, and I think that's sad. And some of our community leaders, I guess they allowed it to happen. The politics is real, so they allow it to happen, and it happens. So you have the people who are there to protect you, and they don't. You lose a lot. So we lost a lot of economic power, economic growth, uh, family growth, community growth. Even now, we got the young man Terrell Johnson though. He's opening it up. He opened up one of the clubs, made a restaurant out of it, and another one he's opening up now, which was a club. He's turning into the crab house
Okay.
we have in Daytona. He brought the franchise there, so he's trying to do is bring the community back into the area, so we can relatively have a place to go, nothing to do. It took the place where they don't have anywhere to go. So that's the sad part about it. That was our area to go, and it's like, well, where are we going to go now? You know, you if you take this from us, what we're going to do?
Yeah.
So
And so you do have a brand new resource center. I
we
mean, it
do.
took 20 years, but you do.
20 years. That was the politics in that.
Oh yeah.
It got there. No real help to their own, just that they were trying to save face for themselves. But a lot of
Mm.
people don't know, particularly in my community, that they rezoned Spring Hill as we know it, all the way down to Earl Brown Park as they know it. So when the monies would come in, they would just fix up Earl Brown Park when the money really was designed for Spring Hill. So when they finally did come through committees and saw where the monies were going, they were at liberty of shutting it down unless they built their research center.
Mm-hmm.
Or they were forced to do it. So those are some of the things that we don't know how they rezone things and just take the money and then don't even allow us the privilege to use it. Our money,
Right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
You have
So
a community redevelopment area there, agency.
right, yes. So these are some of the things that we have to work on in the community, and I'm asking maybe the Lord will lead me in a way and lead my community in the right way. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, they all, you know how you do that, right? You have to put your foot in the political
In
arena.
the political arena, I know it, and I just got a little toe in it. Sometimes it get a little cold, and I snatch it back out of there.
Ah! You cannot do that.
I don't know if I'm really ready for all that.
You
Hey,
cannot affect change from the outside.
yeah,
I mean, you can. I mean, Stacey Abrams did,
right.
but for the most part, it's better to be at the table.
Of, of course, you got to be at the table to get a lot of things done. That's why we lost a lot because no one was at the table to
You would
advocate.
make a great politician. I don't know why you're scared.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm praying on it. We'll see.
Listen, I am the best backdoor political person you will have. So if
Okay,
you ever
okay.
want to run for politics, let me know. I don't want to run, but I'll help you run.
Yeah, help me run.
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
So
we all got to start somewhere.
yeah, y'all got to start somewhere, right? So we met in your 30s. In 2020, you turned 50. I know what it feels like for a woman to turn 50, but tell me what you felt like when you turned 50.
Honestly, I didn't feel anything. I felt, blessed, losing a son at 23 years old and losing, family members, the word on the street, if you live to be 25, you're OG. But here I am 50. I've lived twice that. So I feel blessed. I'm in good health. Thank God for that. And I'm in good spirits and I'm good in limelight. It could have been worse, but I thank God I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. So I
Okay,
feel
yeah, that's also good. But tell us how you felt when you woke up that morning.
I felt rejuvenated. I felt good. That's what I'm telling you.
You can start calling your
I still
grandkids
feel 25 young. Yeah, I still feel 25 young. I get up a little slower. Take a little longer to get out of the bed.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have to wake up a little earlier to get going. Just like an old car, you have to warm it up. So I have to wake up early and get my coffee and get my juices going so I can get flowing. Those things takes a little more time to heal from hurts and pains. But I appreciate those pains because if I feel those pains, that means I'm still alive. So I'm good.
Tell us about that photo shoot you did on the bridge. It was fabulous.
Yeah, that was something I did with a friend of mine. He came up with the idea of going up on the bridge with it, and it was something that I wanted to bring to my 50th. I couldn't have a party because the pandemic had just started out. So taking a photo shoot, sharing my 50-year experience on Facebook with all my friends and family was the closest thing I could think of to bring everybody together. So that's the idea I came up with, and so everybody seemed to love it, and I was very appreciative. Thank God that I was able to do
It was a good photo shoot. He did a good job, whoever
it.
the, or she, whoever the photographer was, they did a good job.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your emotional tolls. Now, you don't have to dig deep. I just want you to kind of tell us when it's one thing to lose a mother, it's another thing to lose a son, right? So
Yeah.
tell us about the difference in the emotional toll.
Oh, I tell you, those are two of the most. Well, I ain't gonna say most, but they're top level people in my life at
No,
that
your
time.
Gemini was serious, all right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was serious. That was the best thing. She guided me through so many things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but that was a little different because you kind of could see her health fading. It was the surprise when your son, you get that call in the middle of the night. The stuff you see on TV. You get that call 12 o'clock at night that your son's been shot and he's dead. And it's like I'm still in shock. I still haven't really grieved from that. Neither one of them, but I think it's because of my ability to seek God and so many things that He carries me through. But the difference is that you're shocked because you don't, your children are supposed to bury you. You don't supposed to bury your children. So you never get over that. And if I could change places with them, I would. I talk to him often, pray with him daily. And ironically enough, I have his granddaughter here with me this weekend because her birthday is Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
We celebrated her birthday yesterday, and with family and friends. So she's from Chicago, so they're down here. Her and her mother are here with me to Wednesday. So ironically enough, that his child is still here, still carrying some of his attributes and some of the Bryan attributes, my son attributes together. And to lose both of them at the same time in the same year, I lost my son like April
Mm-hmm.
April 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom died like 2 days after Christmas.
I think
27.
that my nephew died in February. My mother died in July. I think that really takes a toll on them.
Yeah, it does. It just
Mhm.
it really sinkens you. But and I can see how you can easily lose it. That's
Mhm.
why it's so important to know who God is because you can. It don't take much. All it takes for you not to know Him, and you can actually lose your mind or your sense of being. So knowing who He is and what she taught me to always know where to go and who to call on in my darkest hour, um, made it help me just come through it all. That's all. That's all I can say is just God's grace and mercy.
I didn't know your son, but your mother never met a stranger.
No,
She was
she
pretty
knew
special.
everybody everywhere. She
Yeah,
was all over the state of Florida,
yeah.
all over the United States doing programs, and man,
Mhm.
she was good humanitarian for the land area.
She didn't knew, she never knew my name, but you would have never known it. No,
But
she was really slick at it, but I thought that woman has no idea who I am, but it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter, right? Yeah.
She was very nice.
She's gonna take care of you,
Yeah.
particularly African American in leadership.
Mhm.
She would always do everything she could for you. She
Mhm.
graduated with a psychology degree from Cookman, and I'm telling you, she as much as she spoiled us, she spoiled a lot of people on the outside. as well. So she spent that
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, she was a good
Absolutely. Miss Tony, you lost your son, is that correct? Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, so it is. It's just
I've
something.
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Well she knows the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. And
To
you really
get
don't have to be a son, it has to be, I mean, I raised
a
my,
child.
yeah, I raised my nephew. And it's, you still waiting for him to come through the door.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Looking for that phone call. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm glad that you shared that with us. Most men don't share the fact that, they grieve too, right?
Right. We do.
Grieve
We
too.
definitely do. We
Yeah.
definitely do.
So let's kind of change the subject a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So let's talk about your marriages, right?
Okay.
So you've
Yes,
been married twice,
I have.
and without going into a whole lot of detail, because we don't need to know that, have you made peace with your former wives,
I
and
have.
what would you do different?
I have made peace. First of all, and foremost, what I would do different, I would tell a younger Reggie to be patient because I'm often a runner. If things not going well, seeking well, I do give it the liberty of time, but I am a runner in the sense that if it's not working right, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to make it work. So
Astrologically, everybody, he's a Leo, so
so what I would do different, I think just being patient, trusting God in that situation, and being a better listener. Most men we're not good listeners, so
Mhm.
I would be a better listener in that aspect. But I've toned everything with them, and we all in good spirits. Um, they've since moved on, been married, and have relationships. So we get together. As a matter of fact, when my last ex, she was at the party last night because she celebrated a lot with my granddaughter. So she showed up. She was there.
So how old is your daughter now?
My granddaughter, she's 9.
No, your daughter.
My daughter is 19.
19.
Yeah, she's 19.
Wow. She was a baby when I met her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's growing fast. I tell you, she graduated. She actually works at the new Amazon that just built here in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's going to school for pharmacy tech.
Pharmaceutical?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That'll make her way for the rest of her life.
yes. I'm hoping. I'm praying.
Listen, everybody takes pills. You get a certain age, you're gonna take a pill. So, it's like owning a liquor store.
Right.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
as
take
long
a
as
drink,
it take a
and we're
drop.
gonna take a pill.
Well, long as it take a drop out of my financial pocket, I'll be glad for it.
Right. Well, you got a little while to go.
Yeah, I do.
Hmm. So let's talk about your walk in the ministry, which has been kind of crooked.
Oh man,
That path has been kind of crooked.
the Browns are kind of cricket. I'm not. I've often had people tell me that ministry is my calling. I know within myself that it's kind of a calling, but I haven't really, got that answer directly from the Lord yet. And I don't know. It probably have to do with me not listening or taking the time and listening to my own stillness in my life. So, but I did attempt to go to seminary to a school that one of my friends graduated from in Atlanta.
Hmm.
It just didn't go very well. It's amazing. It wasn't a good fit. What I'm seeing in the black church now is not for the black people.
Hmm.
I don't know where we're going with this. All I can say, it doesn't look good.
Alternative universe.
Right. It's
Yeah.
very alternative. It's very different. And I just didn't seek well. So right now I'm just researching some other schools, hopefully a better fit. And I'm not sure if I'm going to ministry, but maybe I'll teach with it, but that's what I want to get my doctorate in. It will be in seminary.
Do you have to? You can have your doctorate in theology and not necessarily have
Yeah, you
to
can
be
go to
right.
theology, right?
Right.
Theology or education. Yeah, they have
Hmm.
different aspects of it. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to be a minister in order to
No,
be
no,
able to teach the word, right? So,
no.
theology would be good.
Actually, you don't have to have education to be able to teach a word. I mean, if
Okay.
God's in you, you don't need it. It's just that I'm so educationally based. It's just a feel good thing for me.
So,
So
it's important for you to have a PhD,
it sort of is. It was one of my goals.
right?
So it wasn't one of my goals to get in ministry, but if I'm a goal, I may as well get it in that. I think so. It is one of my goals, but it's not necessary.
It would be nice to have it on your wall.
It would be very nice.
I mean, and it holds another dimension to your financial status too.
It does. It
You
really
have a
does. It
PhD.
open doors for you that you don't have to pull very hard.
Right.
But you got to put in a lot of work to get there. So that's
Well,
where
I
it's
think
at.
writing the dissertation is
The
might be
dissertation
about the hardest part,
is
right?
the hardest thing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, which would you go and get it in anything else? Like I could see you really being a counselor.
Uh, I could, 'cause that's, I live with a counselor pretty much. So I was forced in learning some of the things that. So it comes natural to me because I am, because that's my best bud, and I learned a lot of things from her. And seeking people and nourishing people is one of the things that I do very well, um, from all different backgrounds and demographics. So meeting people and talking to them is something that I do naturally. But like I say, I'm learning to stay out of my way because I've always chased financial things, and God have always shut that door on me. So when He gives me the answer, I will step into that walk. I'm learning the hard way is to wait on the Lord. That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Oh, you making 70,000? Let me take it away from you. Oh,
Yeah,
you making
I'm telling
$1 billion.
yes,
Oh, you making 80,000? Oh, you making six figures? You think that's cheap? Okay, let me take that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm learning to be patient and wait on the Lord, and,
Mhm.
and, and He's never allowed me to get what I want, but He's never allowed me to fall from grace either.
So, what would you tell? We're going to go through the years, right?
Mhm.
What would you tell your 25-year-old self?
Oh God,
What would you tell your
25 years.
25-year-old self, Karen?
I don't know. From 25, they had 25 to 30-year, the 40-year-old. What's up, Kay? And the 40-year-old Reginald, I would say, learn to be patient. That's all I can say. Learn to listen to God in the stillness of your life. All those things that my mom would tell me to go do, and I wouldn't do it. Like, Reggie, sit down, listen, turn that TV off, stay away from your friends for a while, get in there and have a relationship with the Lord so you can know what to do. And chasing money. I was always chasing money through jobs. So I would tell my young Reggie, just get on the job, nourish that job, nourish what you want to do, get some support from it, get some experience with it, and let it take care of you. When you chase money, you never find what you want. If you chase God, all of that stuff will come.
Mm.
So that's what I would tell a young Reggie,
Even at 40.
even at 40. Even at 40, especially at 40, because you're almost at 50. So you better get it right now, because the days are numbered at 50, and but we lose a
Speak
lot
for
of.
yourself. What do you mean the days are numbered?
I've lost some close friends in the last week. Some people that was in their 50s that that you didn't even see that coming, and they were
Right.
pretty healthy. So I mean, I've learned to appreciate God and take advantage of the opportunities that He sets for me, and try to be optimistic about the things.
Yeah, it's just different for men. I remember when my Medicare card came, right? And I started screaming, I'm so sick of these people sending this stuff from my mama. She's been dead for these many years. I said, oh, snap, this is
That's
my.
yours. Yeah, right. Oh, when I got my first AARP card, well, I guess I don't made it through the third one.
Like, oh, this card got my name on it.
Yeah, my
Okay.
name on it now.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm that guy. My mom would always say when I would fuss about things, what you doing that for now, mama? Just keep living, son. And all you got to do is keep living. And here I am living and learning, like the old song say, by and by.
Bye and
When the
bye.
morning comes, you'll know. And just thank God I'm here to be able to get some of this wisdom and experience.
So most children today do not know what it's like to grow up in a neighborhood where everybody knows one another or is related. So tell me how that shaped you as a man, and have you ever lived anywhere else for a long period of time?
I haven't, not because didn't. I haven't. I've been in Florida in this area for 47 years, except for my military time, and not because I didn't want to leave. Just it just never happened. It's just things that never go well every time I want to get out. But growing up in a small town a small community was everything, because back then, you if you got in trouble, Miss McDonald or Miss Mary Lou or somebody, they're gonna jack you up, and then on to jack you up, they're gonna drag you home, so for you to be jacked up again. You know, now you can't think about touching these people kids. Well, they been to cuss you out or call the police on you. So I mean, raising a family and raising a village, real stronghold. I think once we took God out of everything, the schools and stuff like that, a lot of that dispersed. So it was everything for me, and it molded me to who I am today. All of those people I'll never forget. All of the elderly that would get on my case and tell on me when I did something wrong, or chastise me. Back then they didn't care who your mother was, because everybody supported everybody. Right.
Miss Emma Birch. Does everybody know who she is? Miss Emma?
Miss Emma Birch.
Little short, light skinned lady. I think her last name is Birch. I
Mm.
was in DeLand, I think 3 weeks, and she came into my office. And
Uh-huh.
she said, "You don't know what the F you doing." I said, "Oh my God." And she sat down and she said, "Now that we know each other, we're going to be best friends."
Welcome to the West Side. That
Welcome
was
to the
the
West
West
Side.
Side. Yeah.
We're going to be best friends. I was like, "Oh my God." And we did. We ended up being very good friends. But that was
Yeah.
her introduction to me. It was really funny.
Okay.
And when people talk about small town,
Right.
um, do you all remember Mookie? Yeah, Mookie. No, he was the one that gave me the introduction. And so if you don't have an introduction, you don't get vetted.
You don't get vetted in.
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm glad
Not
you
in
had
Spring Hill. No.
to.
Mm-mm.
Not in Spring Hill, man. You got to be from there or come from there. That's anywhere you go. If we go to Sanford sometime, hey, it wasn't always pretty when we were going over to Sanford or Daytona or
Mhm.
somewhere like that. But that's just the way it was growing up. Back then we could fight and come home, but now they shooting and
Yeah,
they
it's
don't come
different.
home.
It's very
Yeah,
different.
it's
So,
very
what
different.
do you believe has been the greatest mistake thus far? Something you would do
Uh,
over?
I would say my greatest mistake is like I say, I was chasing financial things instead of just grooming myself with. I had an opportunity to work for Disney when I graduated. I didn't want to do that. I was just chasing the bidder with the most money, not seeing that it would take. Sometimes it just take time on a job, to learn the culture, and let the finances take care of itself. So my biggest mistake was always chasing the biggest paycheck.
The
Yeah.
greatest accomplishment?
Um,
That new bike? No.
of course, being able to, but it took sacrifice to be in the military. Buying my first home of my own, by myself, was a great accomplishment. Coming through HBCU was a great. Graduating from Cookman was a great accomplishment. But I would say my greatest accomplishment was being able to recollect with Jesus, being able to know who I am spiritually. That was my greatest accomplishment, because it allowed me to not panic. Oftentimes we're young people, we panic and we make decisions because it doesn't feel right or look right.
Mhm.
And it took me, wow, 50 years old, to learn that sometimes it just sit still in that storm. And knowing that who God is and accepting Him allowed me to sit still in that storm where I could see things and let things manifest throughout that storm instead of just reacting, panicking and reacting to something. So my greatest accomplishment was to accept God and allow Him to steer my life.
Well, I'm not going to keep you. I know you want to get to that football game, so Tony, you too. I love
Amen.
you guys for being here. Listen, I thank you very, very much for coming on Zoom in a fresh conversation and being here, Florida grown.
Yes,
There are not a lot of people around anymore who are Florida grown.
they're not.
Does anybody have a question for him? I see you had some friends and family on the line. Anybody have a question? You have to put it in the chat room if you do. No? Let me see.
All right.
I think they're gonna let you get away off the hook.
Don't you go to typing that.
So thank you very much. Do you have a word of wisdom you want to leave with us, or for young people out here?
For the young people, I would say, hey, listen to your elders, trust God, and trust God in every situation, even though it doesn't seem good, doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right. But like my mother always told me before she died, was to trust the Lord. I don't know how He's going to do it for you, but He surely will fit your situation if you just trust and believe. And that's my words of wisdom.
Okay. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Get to the football game. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Good night.